I wanted to come over, is that alright? He let out a yawn and rolled over towards you, waking up just enough to understand the question, but not the full context. A faint smile appeared on his face. What? Yeah, I want you here. You snickered and quietly to yourself, you sat there. He could figure it out on his own, and after a few more seconds, he did. Wait, James? Yes, I'm here. Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel if you're new here. My name is Death by Pony, and today we're hopping right back in to our life. So without further ado, let's go. You pulled your covers up under your chin and settled down for the night, getting warm and cozy. As your head sank into the pillow, you closed your eyes. Your mind drifted back to everything that happened that day. You could see it all now behind your eyelids, as though you were experiencing it all over again. And then the image of Cove popped into your head. You smiled softly to yourself. Decided to send him a text chat. You texted him to come over. You want to sneak out to his room. You're feeling so tired, you snuggled up in your bed. Sneak over. If Cove could do it, then you didn't see why you shouldn't be allowed to. You made up your mind. As quietly as you could, you managed to put on your shoes and slip out of the room, closing the door behind you softly. Heading slowly down, you took care not to make the floor creak, especially the board right by the bathroom. Those definitely squeaked. The stillness of the night made even the slightest sound seemed so much louder than to your ears, and you were very aware of your mom sleeping nearby. Upon reaching the bottom, you tiptoed towards the front door. Slipping outside into the crisp night air, you shut the door and took a relieving breath. Excitement rising, you dashed across the street towards Cove's house. The road was too surreal at this hour, familiar yet strange. It might have been eerie at another time, but with how eager you were, you had hardly cared. You attempted to find your way from normal footpath the side of the condo, but the limited light was making it difficult. You knew for sure which window was Cove's, and lucky for you, it was on the first floor. Unlike Cove, you wouldn't have to do any building scaling. All you needed to do now was make it safely over the fence and past the bushes without being caught or injured. Sneaking close, you glanced over to the hedges towards Cove's bedroom window, finding it cracked open. Perfect, you wouldn't have to knock and worry about him not answering. Hoisting yourself up with ease, you cleared the fence and avoided the shrubs, then darted over to the window. You buzzed with nervous excitement as you approached it in dark, having successfully made it all the way here unseen. Lifting the window up, it was fully open. You pushed yourself halfway through, legs dangling into the underbrush below. It was a little awkward, as a small shelf was right in the way. You had to take care not to knock over a couple plants. You made it through with minimal noise. Once safely inside, you dusted yourself off and turned back to close the window gently, with only the soft glow of moonlight and Cove's fish tank there to see the way. You gave a small wave to your favorite fishes, on the other one you named and the one you had given Cove as a gift. Both looked to be doing good. Straining your eyes through the darkness, you crept towards Cove's bed, barely making it out to the sleeping figure beneath the covers. By the sound of his soft breathing, you could tell that he hadn't heard you come in. A small smile tugged at your lips. You startled him with a loud noise. You poked him until he woke up, nudged him gently, you whispered his name, sat down on top of him. You left him to sleep and sat beside him. We gotta let him know. Cove. You figured he must be in a deep sleep as he continued snoozing away. Positioning your lips beside his ear, you tried again. Cove, wake up! This time, his sleepiness blinked in his eyes and mumbled something incoherent beneath his breath. I wanted to come over, is that alright? He let out a yawn and rolled over towards you, waking up just enough to understand the question, but not the full context. A faint smile appeared on his face. What? Yeah, I want you here. You snickered and quietly to yourself, you sat there. He could figure it out on his own, and after a few more seconds, he did. Wait, James? Yes, I'm here. He shuffled under the covers and sat up to stare at you in alarm.
What?
Why are you in my room? What happened? A smile slipped onto your face as he finally registered your presence for real. You said nothing. I didn't want to be alone. I was bored. You hugged him. Hug. Leaning forward, you wrapped your arms around Cove, feeling him freeze for a brief moment. When he relaxed, he hugged you back softly and let out a small sigh.
It's okay.
It doesn't really matter why you came. It's okay. You held him for a little while longer, letting his hug relax you until you pulled back and looked at him gently. I should have known you'd do this one of these days. It's only fair. He let out a breath, feeling relieved, and he didn't seem bothered by it. In fact, it felt kind of good. You thought maybe this enthusiasm was why Cove did it so often. He pushed himself up fully, swinging his legs over the side of the bed and leaving a spot for you to be beside him. You can stay as long as you want. Really? Yeah, really. I'll go home soon. I don't have to stay. How long do you want me to stay? Can I stay the whole night? Can I stay the whole night? Of course! He smiled, feeling relieved that he had agreed. He grinned back. You could always count on him. I've secretly slept over in your room before. It's only fair you get to do it too. You snickered, feeling pleased with your decision to do this. Well, it looks like you might be getting the floor yet again. Okay, but there's no way I'm letting you take the floor this time. No floor. Here we go again. You rolled your eyes and let out a soft laugh, which Cove returned as he rubbed at the back of his neck. No, seriously, you can have the bed. We should share the bed. I'll take the floor, I insist. I wouldn't mind if you took the bed. I appreciate you taking the floor, Cove. I'll take the floor, I insist. His eyes narrowed into slits of aquamarine. He didn't want to argue about it, but also didn't want to accept your offer. But you were firm about your decision. Your gazes stayed locked on each other until you had silently entered into some sort of staring competition, neither one of you willing to budge. In the mini battle of wills continued, you drifted closer until you could almost count every single one of the individual eyelashes. You stared at each other, the two of you locked eye to eye. One of you would have to be the first to crack. You know, I'd be more comfortable on the floor than the bed. Too bad. It's your house, and I'm not taking your bed. With an unnecessarily dramatic sigh, he threw his arms out to the side. Fine, okay, I'm not going to force you to take the bed if you don't want it. Really? Yeah, but if you aren't gonna budge, then I'll use the bed if you're getting it too. Take it or leave it. I'm not gonna be the only one with a bed tonight, no matter what. You raised an eyebrow and folded your arms over your chest, giving him a questioning look. You'd share it with me? It's big enough for both of us. He grinned, though Cove stayed completely serious, his face set like stone, as though this was a real negotiation. All right. There, I've made the compromise. If you won't take it, then you'll just have to accept me sleeping on the floor. Okay, I'll take it. We'll both have the bed. We'll both have the floor. We'll both have the bed. We'll both be comfortable. He thought it through for a moment before suddenly throwing his hands in the air. Why not? We might as well make the most of the sleepover. Yes. You bounced along the balls of your feet, and he smiled at you fondly. After all, you had really wanted to see Cove, and knowing he'd be right there next to you made it feel like a real sleepover. We're gonna make it work. I know you've always had to put up with my attitude about this, and I can't get my way every time. Well, I could've, but you're certainly not going to give up. You gave him a triumphant nod as the two of you got under the covers, laughing and joking around, or remembering you should be keeping the noise down. Resting on your side, you fluffed up your pillow and faced Cove, who did the same. He sighed contentedly as he settled in and pulled the covers up over his shoulders. Yeah, this is definitely better than the floor. You scoffed quietly, hardly believing he had come to the conclusion after everything. But that was Cove Holden for you. You flicked the tip of his nose, you nudged him playfully. You're so dumb sometimes. You shook your head at him. Shook your head. Sure, he could be a pain, but you would never want to change anything about him. Your neighbor looked over at you, happily. He was honestly content. The night stretched on, and you continued giggling and chatting, turning absolutely everything except this room and each other. You felt so light again, and like you were 8 instead of 18, and the only big decision you had to make were what you were going to have for breakfast in the morning. Soon enough, your eyes began to grow heavy. As the conversation slowly came to an end, you both fell into a restful sleep side by side. The next morning, you woke slowly from a comfortable dream. With a small stretch, you opened your eyes fully into the sun shining through the window. Shuffling on your side, you noticed Cove still beside you in the bed, sleeping soundly. You smiled, remembering the prior night. It had been fun getting to spend the whole night together. You felt so lucky to have Cove as a friend. And then loud noises suddenly stared at you. You snapped towards the sound of the noise. It was the door opening abruptly as in the frame stood Mr. Holden, smiling brightly. He hadn't seemed to have noticed you straight away. Get your butt out of bed, sport. Mom's here. Oh! All of a sudden, the two of you made eye contact, and he froze where he stood, smile slowly slipping from his face. Well, that's not what I usually walk into. I clearly should have knocked this morning. Her mouth weirdly fell open. Yeah, you should have knocked. Of course Cove would get away with sneaking into my room, and I'm the one who'd get caught. Good morning, Mr. Holden. You pulled the blanket up over your head. You screamed. Of course I'm the one who gets caught. Should I pretend I didn't hear that? Cove blinked his eyes tirelessly as he mumbled something incoherent before turning towards the door. Both you and Mr. Holden stared at him for a few moments, neither knowing what to say or do. Cove, who continued to look at his dad dozily, was obviously having a hard time trying to process the situation. Then his eyes widened. Dad? Cove scrambled on the bed in an attempt to get to his feet, pushing the covers back off the both of you. Forgetting there was an overhead ceiling above him, he shot upwards and hit his head on the wood. He flopped back down on his pillow, pressing his hands to his head and groaned loudly. You laughed at the scene, you gasped in horror. Cove, you only stared at the shock of all this. I'm laughing! I'm gonna laugh at him! You couldn't help the sound from breaking out through. When Cove shot you an unappreciative look, you clamped your mouth shut. Cove, buddy, you alright over there? Mr. Holden stepped further into the room, his eyebrows furrowed in concern, and he bent down towards his son. Yes, please just go. Okay, I'll leave. Cliff held his hand in front of him, a calming gesture, even though Cove couldn't see it. Kira's waiting. With that, he stepped back out of the room, giving the two of you one last look before pulling the door shut behind him. Cove rubbed his face before dropping his head into his hands and mumbling between his fingers.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, oh my god. You patted him on the leg. Well, that was fun. You covered your face with your hands. That was so awkward, you groaned. Well, that was fun. He said nothing, and you got the impression he didn't appreciate your comment. With a heavy sigh, Cove forced himself to sit up again. He frowned hard, staring at the closed door. Sorry. I guess we can't just hide in here now. He gave you a sidelong glance, and despite his displeasure of the situation, a small smile quirked on his lips.
Nice.
It's too bad it's been really nice. Too bad, right? I hope we'll get the chance to do this again soon. You found yourself smiling along with him. The two of you took a few minutes to get up properly and get yourselves as ready as possible. Cove put his glasses back on before heading out to see Kira. Kira was waiting patiently in the living room, and she was in high spirits with her eyes set on the hallway. Her amused smile only widened when you and Cove froze. It didn't take long for the realization to sink in that the scene must have been loud enough for her to hear, even from here. Cove tried to look unimpressed, eyes narrowing over Kira's smug delight, though his face was already turning red and his mom hadn't even said anything yet. He squared his shoulders and lifted his head and strode forward.
Hey.
Hi, Mom. Well, you know, when you... Hi, baby, and hello to you too, James. Her tone cracked in a greeting, and then she just gave a laugh, unable to keep any of it in. Cove frowned at that, and his eyebrows furrowed. Sorry for the interruption, I didn't know you already had guests. His frown wobbled as he became even more embarrassed by this moment. He couldn't muster any words to defend himself. Well, it's not like anyone's surprised by this. I'm sorry, hi. You don't have to laugh. You didn't say anything. Not like anybody's surprised. Kira laughed even harder at this time. As it slowed, she brought her hand up to cover her mouth. You both could still see her shoulders shake. Cove still looked mortified, but he shot you a stern look. All you could do was smile. Cove was still unable to say anything other than his teeth biting into the inside of his cheek. He stood there, frozen. Kira studied you both for a moment.
It's all right.
It's okay, my not-so-little mister, spreading his wings. I can't complain about that. She lightly tapped the tip of his nose and got a tiny smile out of Cove. Despite being much taller than Kira at this point, he still seemed like a kind little kid in front of her. You realized the air you were holding in your lungs, then Kira gazed back onto you. You know, we were just about to go over to see Pam and Noelle. Are you two coming? I'll go. He stretched his arms for a moment and yawned, trying to physically shake off what happened.
Sounds good.
Yeah, sounds good.
Great.
Great, let's do it. It was then you noticed Mr. Holden standing on the other side of the room. You figured he must have been trying to create some space for everybody during the last conversation. You could tell he felt a bit awkward, but he tried smiling reassuringly as he scratched the back of his neck. His attention went to Cove. Bud, don't you want to get changed first? Cove looked down at his pajamas for a moment. He shook his head. No, we don't have to wait for that. Are you sure? It's only a trip across the street.
Don't worry about it.
Alright, besides James is going in his pajamas too. Fair point. Cove then leaned in close to you. He grumbled quietly. And your moms are going to figure out what happened anyway, so... yeah.
Come on.
Anyway, we go. With that decided, the four of you headed out across the street to your house. It felt strange waiting there while Mr. Holden knocked on the door.
Hello?
Hi there! Mom answered the door, and her expression was brightened even more seeing Kira there. She moved to pull Kira into a hug when her gaze fell on you. James? Hi, Mom!
Huh?
How? When did you get out there? Why are you still in your pajamas? Mom's eyebrows raised as she gave you a deep examining stare. Meanwhile, you and Cove shared a slow side glance with each other. Before you could answer, more heads popped into view around the doorway. Ma, Liz, and Lee were chuckling. To be honest, I always assumed Cove had been the one sneaking around. Her eyes sparkled with amusement, and you had to look away. You noticed Cove's face was burning red again. It was a solid theory, Lanny. Most likely, they've both been breaking and entering. I wouldn't put it past my baby, but he takes after his parents. You're right. I can't believe my James has been getting up to all that mischief, too. Mortified, Cove looked like he wanted to disappear, while the adults chuckled and discussed what you and Tim may or may not have done. Fortunately, they left the conversation there. Enough of standing around out there. Come in, come in. Mom moved aside and ushered the group in and guided them towards the living room. Before anyone could get settled in, Mom spoke up. You're all welcome to stay for breakfast. We still have some great spices and stuff from the farmer's market.
Course.
Yes, and we'd be thrilled to host you. There were eager nods from Mr. Holden and Kira, but Cove looked around the room filled with familiar faces before speaking up. Maybe instead of staying here, why don't we go to the beach? A scenic picnic, eh? Mr. Holden crossed his arms and contemplated the idea happily. Excited, Kira clapped her hands together.
Yeah.
Oh, we could really make a day out of it. Might as well enjoy the ocean while we can. That sounds lovely, Cove. Everyone else put in their own agreement with Cove's suggestion. Before long, both families dispersed, getting everything ready. Sandwiches had been made, water, sunscreen, towels, and more needed to be gathered and packed. Plus, you and Cove both took some time to get dressed for the day. An hour later, both your family and Cove's were walking the old path to the beach. The morning was already turning into a bright and beautiful day. You honestly couldn't ask for better weather for a beach trip. The moment you laid your eyes on the full view of the ocean, you stopped and stood there, mesmerized. It didn't matter that you grew up here. The sight always filled you with wonder. Hey, James?
So?
I was thinking about calling Terry and Miranda to see if they can come too. Everybody else is pretty much already here, so would your family mind? That'd be cool, I'll ask them. You're already excited at the prospect of seeing your friends today that you immediately darted away in the direction your moms went. Behind you, you could hear the familiar sound of Cove laughing. I have a question. Would it be alright if Terry and Miranda came by? I don't see why not. Ma looked to Mom to see what she thought, and she nodded in agreement. Ma then shot a glance over at Mr. Holden and Kira, knowing that they likely heard
You
everything.
alright with that?
Cliff, Kira, what do you two think? The more the merrier.
Okay.
Of course they're welcome with me. Thanks. Delighted, you nodded and turned on your heel. Cove was still several feet away, talking to Liz and Lee, likely about the same topic. With the beaming smile, you gave him a thumbs up, and the two of them must have also approved, as Cove quickly got his phone out and started making the calls. And at that, you turned your attention to help with the picnic setup. Unexpectedly, your phone started to ring. You dug it out and curious to see the caller ID. Feeling your heart jump with excitement, you answered the video call request. It was Derek. Hey, James, it's been a while. Seriously, what's up? The voice that came through was much deeper than it had been when you first met, but it still had the exact same amount of enthusiasm of a kid. Have you been enjoying these crazy summer days? Yeah, I have. It's been amazing. It's been up and down. It's been memorable to say the least. Would have enjoyed them more if you'd been here. We wish he had been there to join us. You sighed deeply into the phone. You frowned, trying to imagine how the summer would have gone if things were different with him. Sorry, but if it helps, I was thinking the exact same thing about you. Distance sucks, huh? Yeah. But what about you? How's your summer been? You were beyond curious to know what Derek had been up to since the last time you spoke. He chuckled, noticing your invested tone. Honestly, I've been slammed with stuff lately. College applications and the scholarship inquiries. What else is new? What else is new? Well, I bet you're even more toned now, you flirted. Your only real struggle will be choosing which place to go to. They're all desperate to have you. Wish you nothing but luck. Which one? Totally. He chuckled, turning into a sigh. You could hear his small smile when he spoke. I really hope so anyway. That would be amazing. Oh, Derek, I wanted to tell you, I met that boy again. The one from the summer soiree. Huh, wait, hold on a sec. I need a second for my brain to catch up. That was fair. The human mind only had so much processing power, and that revelation was an overload. You waited patiently in semi-silence. Some muffled mumblings came over the speaker, as well as scratchy interference that you suspected was Derek actually scratching his ear near the phone. All right, so I'm breaking this down. There was that time you took me to the country club when we were barely teenagers? Yes. And I asked you to show me around and we went on a walk? Yeah. Then we ended up in a totally different party for a whole other group of people that weren't even supposed to be at. The confirmation process continued. Right. In that party, we talked to a kid around our age and asked what was going on, and he told us what I said about before it being a private occasion for people who were not us. It was a dance circuit. Yeah. That's who you meant? Yep. His name is Baxter. He rented the house right next to Cove's. No way. How did you remember him? He remembered me and you too. He did? You verified reality for Derek for a final time. He did. He said your bow tie was cute. He said you were short. I have no idea how he recognized me. It's so weird. I'm still amazed it happened. You could understand Derek's disbelief. I'm still amazed. I bet that's a flash bomb from the past. Baxter the dancer, huh? Your summer was even more exciting than I would have guessed. I had banked on it getting decently wild. And yours was exactly eventful as I thought it'd be. Yeah, it always is. The distant tone of his voice made him feel even further away from you. Then he was. That wasn't what you had wanted, and you attempted to bring the topic back to something cheerier. What's going on with your family? Are George and Nico being good? My brothers are little punks, but I guess they're doing alright. You both laughed at that. Mom and Dad are fine. That's great. My moms are too. Turning your attention back to the surroundings, you smiled warmly. Your family buzzing around towels were laid out and chairs and umbrellas were being set up. Actually, I'm with Moms right now and Liz and Lee are visiting too. Oh, that's fun. But if that's the deal, I'll let you get back to it. Are you sure? I don't mind. Uh-huh, I'm sure. I'm not about to lose your number. Okay, bye. Bye, James. Have a heck of a day. Hanging up the conversation left you energized, in good spirits. It was exactly what you needed to make this day even better. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and if you did, hit like. That way I know you're enjoying the content I'm making. Hit subscribe. That way YouTube brings you back. Here's what happens next. I won't take up any more of your time. Have a good day, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.